Okay. I feel honored to have my big sis, Crystal, bring me on her program tonight. So I could do my best at explaining my experience as a 5%er growing up. Being young, like you said, Crystal, I first was born in Bedford-Stuyvesant, 1962. Bedford-Stuyvesant at that time was pretty economically poor. I remember the landlord, she had a black cat that she used to walk on the collar like a dog. And every
Wow.
month she would come around to collect the rent. I remember the Nation of Islam coming to our doors, selling us fresh fish from Peru,
Wow.
uh, things like that. But at the same time, I also remember how poor and how our community back at that time wasn't as well kept as other communities. And what I mean by that is that we stayed on the first floor, and at that time, being that it was a brownstone building, you had 3 floors. So my mother moved from the top floor because she got tired of carrying that big carriage up the steps down to the first floor. And when we moved down to the first floor, the only problem that we had was at that time that backyard or whatever that the super was supposed to be using, that everybody would just throw their trash out there. So you had rats running around real big, and everybody that was on the first floor, usually got a cat or something to try and keep the mouse or the rats out. So,
Woo! The rats was
um,
in New York City. The Bronx and Brooklyn had some big rats, man.
yes,
They
yes,
have some big
especially
rats.
at that time, at that time, not too many people was financially not even well off, but just good, as you would say, because not too many people had cars or anything. If your family had a car back then, you was considered to be well off. I was
Well,
fortunate because my grandparents were from St. Albans, Queens. So I had the best of both worlds.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
go out there and I was used to, my grandmother had a lot of nice things. So she always made me want more. Not that my mother didn't do that, but what my mother didn't do was she didn't spoil me. So
Right.
I always tell people that the first person that I learned to hustle from, the first person that I learned in life that if you want something, you got to, the worst thing that I ever remember her doing is maybe playing, a little bit of illegal numbers and so forth and so on. But she wasn't no alcoholic. She didn't
Right.
smoke.
Right.
She didn't use no drugs. So
That's really cool. And mom is doing good. She just turned, what did she turn? 80 just
she
recently?
just turned 95.
95. Man.
95. That's right. She's still
You went
kicking
up
up
there. You
there
went
in
up there to see
Brooklyn.
her. Woo!
And I go back
95.
and forth as much as I can because I'm an only child. And that's what I always
Yes.
say, that as a woman, and especially a black woman, if you raise your sons right, they gonna be by your side.